Бен Крофърд, който ще ни разкаже как може да се кандидатства за новите домейни, топ-левел домейни.
Hi. So my name is Ben Crawford. I'm the CEO of CentralNIC. We're a 16-year-old domain name registry. We have 27 domain extensions under management at the moment. And we supply 1,500 registrars all over the world, including many wholesale registrars who then supply a total of 100,000 domain name resellers around the world with our domains. We launched .brand Solutions as pretty much the first and defining company or service specialized in .brands at the beginning of this year by hiring account executives all over the world, including some that have a responsibility for Bulgaria. And essentially we enable communities, brands and entrepreneurs to get top-level domains and then run their business as a partner. We're not a consultancy. We don't advise anyone to pay consultants. We advise them to partner with people that are going to ensure their success. Next slide, thanks. So the application window to get your top-level domain opens January 12th. I did another event with Rod Beckstrom a couple of weeks ago when a journalist said, how many of these top-level domains are there going to be? And he said, we don't know, but when I ask around, I hear up to 4,000. They can actually delegate 1,000 a year. And potential applicants essentially need to decide now because there's a huge amount of work to be done between today and when you actually get into the business. Next slide, please. So first of all, you've got to decide what you're going to actually apply for. So there are many options. Obviously, if you're a brand, typically you're going to apply for your brand name, but in which languages? If you have business in the world that uses Cyrillic, you're going to obviously want to use Cyrillic. If you only are operating in the ASCII world, you might want that. Many brands that we're talking about are thinking that maybe the next round won't be for 5 years, and so they're going to have to think about what markets do they want to enter in the next 5 years and where do they want to have their top-level domains. People are obviously looking for generics, for keywords, which are words which are searched frequently on Google, geographics, if you're a government, communities, if you're a distinct language group, for instance, and obviously IDNs, as I mentioned. Next slide, please. Okay, so what are your requirements? Basically, we're not just talking about acquiring a piece of intellectual property. You're actually going to start a business here or a new product line or indeed a new method of protecting your intellectual property. So you're going to say, why am I doing this? Why am I not just buying a second level domain? So sometimes it's cheaper. As many of you know, toys.com, the domain name cost over $4 million. So it would be much cheaper to get .toys. What's unique about it? ICANN actually needs you to explain why this domain needs to exist, and so you really need to think that through. What kind of model? Closed, restricted or open? Closed meaning that only a very limited group of people can use the domain, so typically if a brand is getting their .brand and they only want to use it for their own company, we call that closed. Restricted might be, for instance, an industry association. For instance, a medical industry association might only allow doctors to use the domain, so it's going to be restricted. Most people that want a website will not be able to buy it. And finally, open means that you're out there competing with com and info and the other domain extensions that are open. Security, stability, and register and protection are obviously issues that are policy issues, but also technology issues, and how you structure and distribute your TLD. Every TLD that's really existed up until now has been sold through registrars. Is that something that you want to do? Do you want to create your own website where you sell the domains? Because now the regulations relating to co-ownership of registrars and registries are relaxed for new top-level domains. Next slide, thank you. So, who is going to apply? Often if you're a large company, many large companies are deciding to set up a subsidiary specifically to apply for a top-level domain. You might want to ask, what jurisdiction should that be in? What tax regime would you like that to fall under? Are you thinking about potentially bringing in other investors in future? Would you want to sell it? All of these things mean that you have to think about what is the company that's going to be applying. Also things like what privacy laws do you want? What data protection laws do you want? And obviously how that fits in with your current organisation. There's no point in putting the entity in a low tax regime if then when you take the dividends out of that company, you end up paying higher tax on it anyway. Next slide, please. So next is the team, and we talk very much about team and people with, so first of all, who will execute the application and eventually the TLD? So you're looking for people who are executors. Again, our advice is do not pay consultants. That's not what you need. You don't need advice. You need someone to actually do the work. Someone that has a track record of doing the work. So they can be employees or they can be partners, but essentially you want people with a stake in the success of your business. And again, we would say, do not believe that it's simply a question of who's managed the top level domain before, because basically the rule book is completely different. The technological requirements are completely new. On the other hand, has someone just built a machine to do this? Do you really want them learning how to actually make it operate with your domain? I doubt it. I think what you're really looking for is people that actually do this for a living today. Next slide, thanks. All right, your business plan. Now, obviously, having a business plan is an ICANN requirement, but whether it was or not, you would want to have a business plan, because what we're talking about is a new business or a new product, or at very least a new area of costs, which you are going to want to predict and measure and control. Where is your financing coming from? Again, this is an ICANN requirement. They're essentially not interested in people that have a great idea, but if it fails, will not be able to pay the bills. They're really looking for people that have a financial plan that backs up their business plan, whether that business plan succeeds or fails. And I would say, obviously, give that advice to anyone going into new business. Do not finance your business on the basis that everything you plan will succeed. You've got to finance it taking risk into account. Obviously, there's many different ways of financing it. Our company will finance domains. So either by offering credit, by investing, by taking equity in the business rather than taking money out, and so on. It's one option, but obviously, I know some people that are running their domains as a not-for-profit and getting people to donate money to them. I know people that are getting government grants. I know people that are have investors in their domains, and obviously many companies are saying, what part of the budget will finance this? Is it the marketing department? Is it fraud prevention? Is it online security? Is it corporate because it's a strategic branding decision? And is it within marketing? Is it digital marketing or is it branding? So there are many issues about how to be financed. And of course the question, if you're going to sell domains, what are your projections going to be? There's actually an awful lot of data available. Again, my view is don't pay for that data. Find somebody that actually wants to partner with you and help you succeed, and they should have that data and make it available to you. Next page. Technical solution. So again, I guess our advice, and we would say this, is pick someone that is already very, very successful and launches many, many domains, and that's what they do for a living. Don't pick somebody that has created technology which they claim can do this but has never been tried before. But on the other hand, be open-minded. The technical portion of the application is extremely detailed, extremely complicated, and you should just be requiring whoever is doing the technology to write that for you. They have to write it in English, so you need someone that you're confident is going to be able to achieve that. And you have to be very careful about picking the right technical partner who can actually fulfill all of the requirements. So for instance, to run a new gTLD, you do need standard EPP, for instance, as the protocol you use to talk with your registrars. It won't do to have something that you've created yourself. Technical requirements for new gTLDs are higher than anything that really has gone before. So obviously we've talked about DNSSEC. Again, we run 27 domains and they all run DNSSEC at the moment. You want to pick somebody that has a lot of experience in that area. Thick WHOIS, which is a much higher requirement than say .com has, for instance, and I mean there's a bunch of other technical requirements which you can read. Next page, thanks. Oh, okay, this is I think the last one was 7. Anyway, so secure financing. So how much money do you need? Well, just starting with ICANN, the ICANN application fee is $185,000. To be precise exactly how this works, you pay $5,000 in January and then you pay the balance when you lodge your actual application. You also need to have a letter of credit or cash in escrow that represents 3 years of operating costs. So if you're a big company that always has millions of dollars in the bank, getting a letter of credit like that probably won't be a problem, or if you're a government department. But if you can't get a letter of credit from your bank, you need to actually put cash in escrow. Then ICANN's going to charge you $25,000 a year for the first 50,000 domains. Above 50,000, it's $1 a year. You also need to put data in escrow. So you need to basically pay a third-party company to keep a live copy of your database. All of this is because if you failed as a business, ICANN would then be able to take your money and take your data and give it to someone else to continue to run the domains. So it's a safety net that ICANN puts in place. Now that's just ICANN requirements. Obviously there's something else you need. One, you need to write an application, which we'll go into. But as an American lawyer told me, if ICANN's going to charge $185,000 for reading your application, I think you're going to find people are going to charge you quite a lot for writing that application. However, there's quite a range. Obviously then, your business expenses, your marketing costs, it costs a lot of money to sell domains. So if you actually want to sell domains through registrars, the reality is today, I've launched 3 domains this year, I'm launching another one next year, and today for the large American registrars, for instance, will just say, write me a check. Write me a check and I will help you launch your domain. So it's not a matter of just showing up and saying I've got this great idea, because there's going to be 400 other people with ideas, plus all the guys who are there now who really don't want to be moved out of the way, and for them they've got tens of millions of dollars at stake in keeping their position in the registrars now. So they're going to be happy to pay to hang on to that. Next page. Policies. So you need policies. Basically, suddenly you're the boss here with your own top-level domain. So you're working out who can get it, who can't, for how many years, what's the notice periods required. Do you take down sites that don't follow your your policies, if you take them down, what kind of notice do you have to give them, etc. What are the dispute resolution issues and so on. So you're kind of writing your own rule book. There's a lot of guidelines from ICANN and there's obviously a lot of precedent, but you need a policy document. There's issues around sunrise, for instance, which is particular windows where you have to, before the domains become available on a first come first served basis, you need to make them available to trademark owners. Again, you need whole policies for that and so on. So in other words, you need a lawyer or somebody who's very experienced in this specific area to write this, and you want to stick that in your application, because obviously the way that it's assessed is, do the policies match with the business plan, match with the financing plan? Next page, thanks. So the application itself is roughly 200 pages, the ones that we have written. It's really, then it goes in two streams. So you write this application, you submit it over this computer system called TAS, and it's like a cut and paste thing. They've done a lot of testing of the system, but they've never actually done it live with hundreds of people all over the world simultaneously loading real applications on there. So I'd say start early in case anything goes wrong. And what would I say about this? The application, it's a very serious and difficult document, so I would say make sure that your partners are committed to writing the application in such a way that you will actually win. It's in a way, it's not that difficult because there's a point scoring system and it's all explained. So you should know in advance that your application is going to succeed, because you can score it yourself or get somebody that is very harsh to score it for you. And we would certainly advise that you do that. So when I've said don't pay consultants, I'd say it's worth paying people to actually write the application. So that's not giving you advice, but it's actually doing the work. Next page, thanks. And so you get the domain, you put in the application, two things happen. One, ICANN evaluates it. The other thing, they publish it and invite people to object to it, and then you have to deal with your objections. At the end of the day, if everything goes as planned, you have the domain. That's actually when the work starts. Like, this is just, it's like, I say to people, it's like deciding you want to sell real estate. Getting your TLD is just like getting your real estate license. Once you got the license, that's when the work really starts, because it's actually a very difficult and competitive job selling domain names. So that's really it for me. Next page. These are the key dates. Window opens. March 29th is the last day you can register. They post a list of applicants, and then they post the results. The first gTLDs are expected to be up at the end of, or at the beginning of 2013, all going well. Next page. Okay, so thank you all. If any of you would like to discuss anything, feel free to come and find me today, or indeed give me a call anytime. I'm based in London, so pretty much same time zone. And if anyone has any questions now, of course, I'm happy to answer, though I realise we're running behind.
Yeah, I think we have time for 1-2 questions, so if there are any.
There are people at the back.
Yeah, we have a question, but just we are looking for the microphone.
Каква е истинската стойност с адвокатските за разни полисите и допълнително? Предполагам, че доста адвокати ще трябва да бъдат включени. Да си отвориш собствен домен. Вие казахте, че сте пуснали 3 до сега. Каква е средната стойност на всеки един от тях?
Oh no, we're applying for a lot more than 3. We've got many clients that are applying, and then we're applying for a lot of our own. Cost, I would say the lowest cost I've ever heard anybody say is total $300,000. So that means that they've found someone to do all the application work, write the business plan, raise the financing and so on for $115,000, and then the rest goes to ICANN. So that's just the upfront fees, and that's assuming that there's no disputes. The chief counsel of Yahoo told me that he advises companies to have between $1.5 and $2 million just to cover their legal fees. So I'd say that the reality will lie between those two. If you want to launch a new global domain like a .xxx competitor or something, I would imagine you'd want $5 to $10 million to cover your legal fees and your marketing fees. So it really depends on what you want to do. I could say I have clients that have revenues of under $10 million a year, and so they're looking at trying to keep the costs as low as possible, and they're getting the domain because it's just something so important to their business that they really have no choice. Other questions?
Oh, thank you. Thank
you all very much. Thank you.
So it's time to say hi to Andres Azou from Key Systems. He talked about why we should go to the new top-level domain systems.
Thank you very much. Welcome to my presentation. This is the topic, welcome to .brand New Internet, why companies should apply to .brand. My name is Andreas Azou, and I'm the product manager of Brand Shelter and responsible for Brand Shelter. I'm working since 1996 in the domain industry, starting with a company named Internet Solutions GmbH from Frankfurt, Eschborn, also in Germany located. And of course, it's really a little bit exciting for me to stay here today. And the reason that I was asking my boss in the year 1997 why it is not possible to register .sol as a name, my name. And he explained it to me in detail. And today, 14 years later, I'm standing here, and it is possible. So the world is changing. The internet colors from black and white, like com and net, will change to nearly every color, and you will see strings like New York for New York City.nyc or .web or .shop or anything else like brands. But more to this later. Let me take first this opportunity to say thank you very much for this really great, wonderful event here. It's nicely organized, so thank you very much. In the next 20 minutes, during my slide 2, please. Thank you. In the next 20 minutes, during my presentation, I will go over who we are, the state of the domain world today. We will talk about the new gTLDs, of course, specifically the future of the internet and the advantages that are provided with the new gTLD. I will show you some use cases with example of car, parcel delivery, and the travel industry. We will spend some time talking about what kind of resources you need to have to success with your application. As well, we will talk about how we can help you, including the technical infrastructure. And last but not least, I will give you an overview about the pricing and the cost of a registry system. Next slide, please. Thank you. To begin, I want to just take a brief moment to review Key Systems' strength and experience. Key Systems has been around for quite a while, founded in 1998. Currently, we have about 60 employees at Germany's headquarters in St. Ingbert, 2 subsidiaries in USA with 6 employees, and further 3 in Mexico, Monterrey. Key Systems is handling 3.5 million domain names with 70,000 end customers and 1,800 resellers. Through our 3 divisions called Domain Discount 24, mainly designed for our end customers, are preproxy.net, We could register domains through an API, speaking through protocols like EPP or XML RPC with our register system, or also with a white label interface. So it's used mainly by resellers. Finally, brandshelter.com is fully designed for the corporate domain business, and with special features like monitoring services or a personal account manager. Perhaps we are most well known as a leading supplier for domain services and resetting of domain names in both the gTLD and ccTLD namespace, but we also have experience in running and assisting with all registry functions and operations. We are proud to say that we have a state-of-the-art Tier 3 data center located in St. Ingbert, Germany, and we currently support registry services and/or functions for .eu, .pl, and .vn. Key systems were the backend registry provider in the year 2003 to 2005, but needs to stop the service out of a political reason for .cd. We also, next slide please. We also offer DNS hosting, SSL certificates, mobile services, and just about any added service related to the sales and support of domains. In short, Key Systems is known for your highest degree of automation, easy to handle gateways of access, trusted technique and experienced staff. Our diverse experience means we are uniquely qualified to handle the needs of our corporate clients, those accessing our registrar services and those using our registry operations. Next slide, please. I will run directly to the next slide. I think we have to cover some time. And also this slide, everything was staged to it. Thank you. Next one. That's a timeline. That's what you have to do in the applicant guide in the application. Next slide, please. And another one. Yes, thank you. Yes, let's have a quick look what kind of resources you need to plan internal. That's an important point. There's the marketing department that will be involved in planning the use concept and the promotion of the new top-level domain. It's a legal department, needs to provide the general information of the registration rules and the policies. IT, domain and management must work closely with the registry registrar and needs to redesign a lot of systems for the internal use. Finally, the financial department and the C-level management must provide any financial parts for the application, and the C-levels need to approve all points above. All about, we are talking about 200 to 300 hours manpower from your company over all divisions. Next slide, please. However, you will not be able to do anything or everything by yourself, and you need to hire or buy some external resources, and you need to plan some budget for it. Technical provider who provides you with the whole registry infrastructure. An external law firm, a specialist in creations of policies and registration rules. Maybe you should think about an external marketing agency that helps you to create advertising in different channels. And last but not least, the consultant, one of the important persons who is writing your application and puts all the specs together. He will be the project manager for all aspects too. Next slide, please. The project manager is mostly the consulting company and coordinates all internal and external resources and puts all together for the successful registration or application. Let's have a look at how many applications are going to be reality in 2013. Next slide, please. We expect to see about 50 new generic strings like web shop, 100 regions such as Berlin or cities, New York City, Saarland, and further 1,000 applications for new TLD representing many brands such as IBM, Amazon, or eBay. Next slide, please. We already know that most of the new brand, about the new brand applicants have not made their intention public in order to possibly prevent competitors from taking the same step. It is important to know that applicants who have decided not to apply for their own brand during this round will have to wait to apply until the next application window is opened somewhere between 2015 and 2018. That's a really long time. With the introduction of new TLD, user behavior will change so those consumers start looking at .brand. It's not hard to imagine how this will spread by word of mouth. Big brands will focus on getting the word out for the own .brand.com will likely lose value in the long run, and monitoring of the key terms and brands and new generic spaces will become increasingly important for brand holders. Next slide, please. Let's now review some advantages as a .brand owner. Brand holders will stand out. Greater opportunity is created on a global scale for unique marketing and personalized user pages. .brand provides a more secure user experience. The user knows that the site is owned by the .brand holder. And since the brand holder controls the namespace, they control who registers and what is registered, preventing cyber squatting, spamming, and phishing. On the namespace they control. Another advantage to owning in the TLD that you have access to highly generic terms you may have wished you could own it in the .com space. And since you control the TLD, domains never need to expire. You simply keep them as long as you want them. It is expected that search engines will continue to provide relevant results by ranking the brand domains higher among search results. Next slide, please. Let's see what special advantages could be used by a travel company. Have you ever tried to tell a URL like this to a friend by phone? In this example, you'll be old before your friend gets it completed. But please, do not look at the brand. It applies to every travel company in the market. This could be shorted by using the generic term for search like family.ids or Sofia.ids of Bulgaria. They are able to use the geo-IP function to possible routes. Every customer is getting an IP address as soon as he's on the internet. If you do a reverse lookup for this IP, you will get the city of the customer. Could you have the next slide, please? The customer, just as an example, the customer sitting in Frankfurt, Germany, and decided to travel to Bulgaria to Sofia. All he needs to do is to call Sofia.travel company, and the travel company will do a lookup where the user is sitting and is creating different routes by airplane. Is creating different routes and showing up to the user. If it's a flight or a train, it doesn't matter. The user just has to pick up the day when you want to fly and the hotel, and it's done. It's just an example which could be used. Next slide, please. There are special advantages for a parcel delivery company as well. For example, they will be able to create tracking domain names used for internal and external. So we have a domain name with the tracking ID of the package. So next, please. Car industry. Of course, big advantages for the car industry as well. Think about every car will get its own domain name, and the company can track the production of your car, but also could track it. Here's something wrong with my script. Yeah, but also you as a customer could track it, and you will exactly know what has to be done until you get your new car. And if you have trouble at the highway, the garage could call the domain of your car with a username and password you provide to it, and could do a remote diagnostic. Maybe they could solve the problem immediately. All web-based configuration for any settings in your car could be possible. Could I have the next slide, please? Okay. We will see shorter URLs in the future. A lot of things could be accessed directly and easy to remember. See all the examples like product, shop name, voucher, news, support, and anything else. Next slide. Here's a summary of the advantages. Effective marketing tool in global terms, strong branding, innovative market positioning, differentiation from competitors, clear external communication, generic availability, oh my god, sorry, of domains, meaning attractive domain names. We have an authentic of the content, addressing, meaning what you're calling, the content is the same as the name. A reduction of existing registrations. Next slide, please. And here's a summary of the security advantages. Security against phishing and fraudulent registrations. Secure user experience for customers, partners, and employees. No plagiarism under your brand, that's a very big point. security for internal communication, full control of its own brand, registration and requirements and processes, full control of the namespace for DNS, and no more expiring domain names. Next slide, please. How we can help with your .brand and generic registration. Key Systems has everything you need to create your TLD. We are rather unique in that we have history and experience in both registrars and registry services. We already have a full understanding of ICANN processes and requirements for launch. And because of our flexibility, we offer full integration of your system with our business processes so that we are able to personalize our services for your needs. Back office support services are also available. Phone and email support, for example. Let us worry about the details so you don't have to. And we are able to provide consulting and guidance through the entry application process in conjunction with our partner Thomson Carpenter. Our Key Systems registry system offers a wide-level registry and registrar interface with customizable invoicing engine and the ability to support full registrar and reseller hierarchical system. Because of our position of leadership in the domain world, we bring to access to a wide reseller network, including some of the world's leading registrars. We currently support 1,800 registrars and resellers. Again, the flexibility of our system allows the brand owners to fully customize their policies and registration process on our system. Again, we offer back office support and consulting services to assist through the application process and beyond. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. As to the technical infrastructure, the entire system is built with redundancy and is highly scalable. Our Skyway data center has a fully redundant power supply powered by renewable energy, redundant internet carrier, and has an enhanced cooling system. We offer wide-level registry and registrar interfaces to our clients. Our clients may choose any name server solution they choose, including our key DNS, their own DNS, and any third DNS provider. If it is a requirement of ICANN that the data stored must be escrowed, and we fully support this function as well with the escrow partner of your choice. Next slide. This graphic displays our infrastructure. The emphasis here is to graphically illustrate that all systems are redundant, so that in the case of a disaster, our main systems and INPID are duplicated in Munich on cold standby. What it means is that in the event of an emergency, such as an earthquake or something else, we can have our system back up and running in a matter of minutes. Next slide, please. I think we talked already about the ICANN fees. That's, should I just go over it? One of the important things is how much does it cost to the operation fee for the brand applicant. And yeah, we decided and we calculated that we need an amount about around about $60,000 in the first year and $60,000 in subsequent annual registration fees. You have to pay 50% upon signing and 50% upon delegation. And the renew fee must be paid only at the renewal date of delegation. This pricing fits for any typical brand. Next slide, please. We have per domain fee, we have 10,000 domain names if you're already included in our system, meaning $60,000, including 10,000 domain names. And for any further domain names, we have a per domain price. If you decided that your registry and your domain or brand will have 100,000 domain names, just talk to us and we'll find another package. Next slide, please. The price includes the technical aspects like DNS, who is registry core, registry, and registrar excellent. We have a technical part of application. It's already included, meaning we are writing the technical part. It's 50 detailed questions on infrastructure. And we will get a training on our registry functions and a second level support, and of course a kickoff session for the application process. Next slide. That's a question I have to give to you. It's are you ready for the .brand new rules? Next slide, please. Thank you very much. Is there any question from your side? and have a nice day.
Thank you as well.